Good morning, everybody. Today we're going to not replace, but I guess jerry-rig the power steering cooler for a 2012 Audi Q7. I saw a guy who has a VW Touraeg do this, and the body, front end, it's all similar design. So I'll link to him below and shamelessly copy his idea. But my power steering cooler was leaking from the internal connections. It's just aluminum, so I mean it's gonna eventually corrode with all the salt and everything we get here. So it was leaking not there, but on the other side, which I'll show you in a second. So the gentleman with the Touraeg, what he did was just cut these pipes right here, and I'm in the process of taking them out right now. He cut these pipes, and then he routed some half-inch inner diameter, fuel or radiator or whatever hose through this little spot here, and then eventually connected the power steering return lines to it. You can't really see it. Well, actually, you can see it in there. So that's the old one that's corroded. In order to take that out, there is a bolt in there. It's a T30. It's right in there. It connects the two coolant lines, power steering coolant lines, to the I guess to the frame or whatnot. So take that bolt out, and then I sliced the connections here. I'm gonna try and wiggle it out, and then just put basically a half-inch PEX coupler in there for the original lines. You can see the original lines are currently held together right here. It's a little dark down there. They're just held together with a barb connector and some hose clamps while I was waiting to redo this. I can't recall where I got the estimate, but if you want to do this properly, take the cooler out and put it back, put a new one in. The part is obscenely expensive, so I'm not going to do that. And the labor, I think, was like $1,000. So figure, I don't know, 9 hours, I think, of shop time, eight hours of shop time, maybe. You have to take the whole front kind of plastic piece off here. You have to take the radiator. I think if you take the top supports of the radiator off, maybe even the bottom ones, and kind of bend it forward a little bit, you can route these. But the piping is super complicated to route. So it bends 90 degrees. So you've really got to move a bunch of stuff out of the way to get it in there. So I'm going to do this in hopefully 2 hours and some $10 worth of hoses. So I'll let you know how it goes, and I'll link to all the videos that helped me in the description. All right, just a follow-up to progress. I've got the power steering cooler out. I had to cut a significant amount of piping off of the fitting. It's probably about 2.5 inches there, give or take, just to get it out of there. It's really tight in there. What helped was there's like a little vertical piece of plastic. You can see it right there. It was there, and then in between the radiator and the kind of plastic frame, there's like a little rubber cushion thing. I took both of those out. I just kind of had to strong arm them out. And then I cut a bunch off the pipe, and the power steering cooler was able to kind of go like this. I was able to rotate it like this, down, and then out. I'm sure you could do it properly by removing this big plastic thing. I think it takes a couple hours to do that. I'm not really interested. I did cut the pipes with a little hacksaw blade just in my hand. I didn't use a saw or anything. Just be careful when you're cutting back there. There are radiator lines, and they're very easy to nick. So just be very careful, because then you have to pull the whole radiator, and that's no fun for anybody. So we'll put it all back together and run a pressure test and see what we get. All right, so I can confirm that 2 3/4 outer diameter fuel radiator, whatever, hoses will fit through the little kind of right angle turn that goes between the the outside of the radiator, and inside to the power steering lines. So we'll clean this up. It was very dirty back here. We'll attach the cooler with some hose clamps, and we'll be good to go. All right, back with an update. Got the pipes on, or rather the hoses on that you can see, and the power steering cooler is sitting in there. The problem is the hoses are a little too thick, and they won't fit. Where's my light? They won't fit behind this little plastic thing here, the kind of cross member bar. They miss by just a little bit. They're pretty decently thick hoses. They probably don't need to be that thick because they're not handling that much pressure. But you know, it is what it is. So I was able to slide it into the little kind of retainer over here, and then it fits diagonally here, and then it actually sits nice against this little thing, whatever, some sort of sensor right here. You can see obviously there's a little bit of a gap in between there. So I'm just going to zip tie it around here, and I don't believe anything is in the way in the bumper right in this area. I believe it's just it's all open, so it shouldn't bump in anything. So in theory that should be fine. You know, as long as it's snug and not bouncing around when the car bounces around, I think it'll be okay. It's pretty solidly up against here. So you might have been able to get away with getting it back into there in its original position if you had a bit thinner hose. This is 1/2 inch inner, 3/4 outer. So you know, the walls are reasonably thick. Probably unnecessary. It's not, like I said, it's not really holding any pressure. But once everything's back together, I'll provide another update. All right, we did our smoke test. There was no smoke. That's good news. Our steering fluid level looks good. I'll show you how much came out of there. You probably can't hear me. I'll show you how much power steering fluid came out when I unhooked the lines. Let's say half a liter, maybe? That's probably a full liter thing, so worry about half a liter came out. That's 16 ounces for you Imperial people. All right, this looks like it's holding. We'll obviously run it for a while, but no initial leaks, so that's good. And you probably can't see too well, but down there you can see some of the hose clamps for the return lines for the power steering system. No leaks so far. I do need to put a little piece of foam next to here because I think that hose clamp is going to rub against that line, and I think it's a radiator line. Yeah, it's for this cooler right here, and I don't feel like replacing that when it's if and when it breaks through there. So far so good. The nice thing is all the lines are pretty visible, so if there's a leak, it's going to be pretty easy to find it, and since they're just hose clamps, we'll be able to just put another one on and tighten it. So we're good for now. Power steering system will hopefully be a little cooler. That's a little toasty. So it's doing its job.